There's 60 seconds in 1 minute and 60 minutes in 1 hour. But have you ever thought about how many minutes are in 1,000 hours? 60,000 minutes worth of you listening to Spanish. We're talking all about the fact that 1,000 hours of Spanish immersion is the key, the goal, the secret sauce, the secret formula to get you fluent fast in Spanish. And although the road to fluency is no get fluent quick scheme, it's definitely a marathon, and it should be. But just think about doing a marathon. That's 1,000 hours, 60,000 minutes of you just hearing que nadie piensa que hable español simplemente por mirar español todos los días. Like, it's a lot. You may or may not be here because you saw my previous video on 1,000 hours of Spanish immersion to get fluent fast and my journey and what I've learned along the way. I'm Nas, and this is Nas Speaks, where I speak all things language learning. Right now I'm on my road to fluency with Spanish, and I'm actively sharing my journey. If you want to be a part of that journey and grow with me, then feel free to subscribe. So let's talk comprehensible inputs. In my last video on 1,000 hours of Spanish immersion, I mentioned that speaking early is important. I mentioned that it has fine-tuned my ear. I mentioned that I have my own personal Spanish grammar radar in my mind. So what else is there? I've done a lot where listening is concerned and very little where reading is concerned. So I did an impulsive purchase on Amazon where I bought 3 books in Spanish because I want to take reading comprehensible input more seriously this year, and I wanted to share the books that I got. So first up, we have, you guys, if you're like serious about language learning and you watch a lot of language learning content on YouTube, you've probably heard of Ollie Richards, right? Well, he's also an author, and I bought his book called Short Stories in Spanish for Intermediate Learners. Read for pleasure at your level and learn Spanish the fun way. If you guys want like a book review once I'm through with these, I can 100% do that. I really love the layout of this book because it gives you short stories, and it also gives you like a vocabulary list as well. There are pictures. We love visual imagery. Here's the vocabulary list that he gives. Multiple choice questions to answer as you're reading. You guys, if you're into literature, especially Spanish literature, then there's no way you haven't heard of Isabel Allende. She's like an icon in the Latin American literature world. I bought one of her books called Más allá del invierno. I haven't started it yet, and I have no idea what to expect, but I'm kind of familiar with her style of writing, and I know it's going to be a good read, and I'm really eager to see what that's all about. But what I have started is this one, which is called Yo no soy tu perfecta hija mexicana. This one is by Erika Sanchez. I've never heard of this author before. I'm not too far in. I'm literally at chapter 3, but you can see I've kind of highlighted some stuff already and like underlined some stuff already. But I also write summaries of the chapters that when I read them, because I want to be able to not just read it, but as a way to almost like assess myself and assess whether or not I was able to grasp what I just read, even just the essence of it. I challenge myself to write a summary of each chapter. No entendí lo que exactamente estaba pasando en términos de que el capítulo entero fue el funeral. Watching something and listening to something is great, right? But reading, I feel like your brain, sometimes you're watching something and you might miss something because you're distracted, or you may not be like 100% zoned in. But I feel like reading in a foreign language, you have to be 100% zoned in, or you're gonna be completely lost on what's happening in the story. You have to follow the story. I'm learning vocabulary, obviously. I'm seeing the sentence structure right before me, and I'm already like using vocabulary that I've learned and like sentence structures that I've learned. I recently did a video on my channel, my video about speaking Spanish to get fluent in Spanish, which is my first video on this channel where I speak complete Spanish. So if you want some credibility on if I can actually speak Spanish and if this is working for me, check that video out. But like there was a point in that video where I even like drew for like a phrase that I learned from the book, literally, and I'm only at chapter 2. I just started the book, guys. I think comprehensible input is key for so many reasons, and you know, specifically talking about the reading part of it, because comprehensible input encompasses reading and listening. It's incredible just how impactful that can be for you, especially if you follow my strategy of like summarizing the chapters after you read it. Like, take moments after the chapter to really like go through in your mind what you just read. And what I'm also doing, and this, you're almost forced to do this as you read, is it really unlocks like your visual imagery, your imagination. It heightens your imagination. I'm like, it's playing out in my mind, it's playing out before my eyes, but you know, in my mind. So now I can connect some of the vocabulary that I'm learning, and I'm associating those scenarios with visual imagery as opposed to just associating them with its English translation. The new words that I learned in the book, I'm highlighting them and I'm looking up the words in an actual Spanish dictionary, not a Spanish to English dictionary, but a Spanish dictionary. I want to learn what the word means in Spanish. Reading in Spanish really forces you to do this. So if you're like me and you're on this journey of wanting to do more with comprehensible input this year, and you're wondering, is it really important? Why is it key? Why are people talking about it a lot more and more these days? Because I've been seeing a lot of videos about comprehensible input and people sharing their journeys and updates with this 1000 hours challenge. And does it work? Yes, it works. And you might think, hey, I may or may not retain all of this. You don't realize that your brain is actually absorbing it and retaining it. And when you go to speak Spanish, you're gonna realize that you're almost compelled to copy what you've been reading. So I'm just encouraging you guys to take comprehensible input more seriously this year. If you really mean that you want to grow in Spanish, I definitely think that Dreaming Spanish hit the jackpot with this one in proposing that this 1000 hours will quite literally change your life and change your trajectory and really kind of push you on that destination of fluency in Spanish and in whatever language you're learning. And I'm excited to continually share my journey on this channel, and consider subscribing if you want to see just more on what I've learned. And let me know if you're into reading, or if you're more so into the listening side of comprehensible inputs. What are you reading / watching or listening to right now to practice your comprehensible inputs? Comment them down below. Thank you so much for watching this video.